Okay. So thank you so much. I want to welcome us to our EdTech launch session. I wish to state that today we have one of our faculty who will be taking us through this particular session. As we move, Kuram, give me the next slide. Yes, we have a few ground rules that we need to have following or put in place. I just want to request that we all can be able to keep our microphone and our webcam off, especially when we are not talking. That will really help. And then you can only click to open or raise your hand so that you are given permission to be able to talk. So those are some of the things that we need to, if you want to respond or ask a question, you can use the chat window. That will really help us to move smoothly. So I just want to allow us to move to the next session. So in our EdTech launch today, organized by the Network of Quality Teaching and Learning, that is the QTLNet, it is just a virtual launch for faculty members who are coming together to discuss their experiences about online and blended teaching. So we share a lot about experiences, our experiences of teaching and learning. And today we have one of our faculty from School of Nursing, that is Zohra Kurji. So we would want to hear what experience Zohra has to share with us. So today's session, we are looking at the lessons learned of SONAM Pakistan, which is a successful clinical supervision program from the perspective of faculty and students. So Ms. Zohra will be taking us through. And I just want to give a brief bio of Zohra. She is an assistant professor and lactation consultant at Aga Khan SONAM and also at the Aga Khan Hospital in Karachi, Pakistan. Since 2012, she's been engaged in blended and learning and innovation in nursing curriculum. In 2016, she's received a stimulation training from the Center of Medical Education in Boston, USA, and currently she's a member of the International Nursing Association for Clinical Simulation and Learning. She's also served as a simulation champion and blended learning lead faculty at SIMI and SONAM Aga Khan University. So I want to take this opportunity to invite Ms. Zohra, who will be able to take up the podium and move us from there. Welcome, Professor. Thank you.
Thank you, Edward, for a very nice introduction. Thank you for all participants and welcome again for the session. Before starting my session, I just give a background of the session which I conducted on 25th of July, and a majority of you were there. So at that moment, I shared my experience of introducing a summer program to around 400 students because that was a deficient course which SONAM Pakistan offered in 2017. And that was a first learning experience from offering online modules to virtual assessment, and all of these graduates were all around the world. And at that time, we also shared that the course which we have offered was the clinical course. So today, in this session, I will share the experiences that how we, gave the clinical component that was a 1 credit to our student, and what was the learning out of that, the preceptorship model. So with that, I will share my slides here. And in this presentation, as the topic is saying that, this is the learning from not only from the faculty perspective, but from the students' perspective as well. So today in our session, we have invited 2 of the students as well. Right now, they are not students, they are the professional nurses, but they will join us, one from Pakistan and one from UAE, because at that time the students were in different part of the world, so they choose the preceptor from there as well. So we will see that, what was the learning. So as we have started the last time, I take you through this Titanic music, so just enjoy and then we'll move forward. Okay, thank you. So in your chat box, if you can write it down, the few lessons which we have shared last time, if you have attended the session, that what lesson we have learned from Titanic, why Titanic sank, and what lesson we have learned from that incident to protect ourselves. If anybody can share in the chat box, please. So I cannot see the chat here. So might be just a minute. Let me try again.
Nothing so far in the chat. So
okay. If somebody can share, so if you can read those things, because I can't see the chat somehow here.
Yeah.
Do we have something on chat?
Not yet, not yet.
Okay. So I repeat again that as we have learned from our last presentation that, what lesson we have learned, that what we can do, that we can save the Titanic not to sink, and this is a SONAM Titanic, but definitely for anything, any disaster, what we can do to save, to prevent us from the disaster.
Something in the chat in terms of poor coordination.
Okay, poor coordination is the one.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Thank you.
Improved communication.
Yes.
Yes.
Now I can see the chat. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
And preparedness. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So definitely we learn from our last session that few lessons was important in terms of Titanic, and that we take these lessons and we can see that how we have prevented ourselves from these lessons, that we able to offer the course to our participants. And in that portion, we will just focus on the clinical part, that what blessings were there that we can able to complete these students' clinical objectives by offering the preceptorship model. So these lessons we have, shared it last time, so I'll not, take it through it, but definitely I will just skim very fast. So we have not lived our beliefs, that our lesson was that, anything could be happen, in the life. So the disaster, as I said, was that our 412 students' degrees were held by HEC because of they were not prepared for the credit, which was the requirement of HEC. So at that time, we offered the deficient credit hours. That was around, for few students it was 6, and for few students it was 7. That we gave them along with the compulsory subjects. So 3 courses we have offered. So how we planned, like the planning is important, as we have said that planning is the thing. We don't have to overconfident, because we cannot see that, we can't make mistakes. So everybody can make mistakes, but we need to have to prepare about how to prepare ourselves against those things, and how to, pull up all our resources and to manage the disaster which was there by HEC in that time in 2017. So yes, the communication is the loop. We have took the confidence about our all graduate from registrar and from director of the program. Then we just engage the curriculum committee as well. We have engaged. We have seen that we have a blended learning faculty around us. We need to see that how the clinical teaching could be via the preceptorship model. And I shared the experience that why we have choose the preceptorship model for our course. Then the lesson was there, we need to focus on the present and future, not on the past. So yes, for the past, it's always important to learn from the experience, but to just stay on the past and to just dig out more and more about it and remain over there is not helpful when some disaster is there. So there needs to be something, some decision needs to be taken by educators and by stakeholders. So within 2 weeks, we were able to approach 85 of the students, around 350 students we enroll in our courses. And as I said, 3 courses offered. So nursing course of care of elderly was a clinical course. As you know, the nursing is incomplete without the clinicals. So this course was a 1 credit clinical, which was also a disaster at that time. The theory could be given by blended learning mode. And since this EdTech launch, we have talked about many things related to theory, that how we can give the theory, virtual theory, and lots of pedagogy and tools and technology. But clinical part is also very important because it's a very important part of the curriculum which we need to know and which we need to discuss, that how these clinical objectives could be delivered through the distance, through the virtual, or through a different sort of modes where our students are not here. So this time we have a pandemic, but that time the students were around 150 students were across the world. They cannot travel only for the 3 credit course to us. So they remain in their own area and we have offered them the clinical objectives. So of course, some fears are the good. So there are many fears which were in our mind, that how we will offer this 1 credit clinical, what the preceptor will be available, what the preceptor will be completely trained, how are the ethics of the work, how the student will complete their own objectives. So we almost every day we talk about the adult learning approach, but sometimes as an educator, we really would like to see each and every step students are doing on the clinicals. So we are very concerned about the student psychological safety as well. And of course, our patient as the prime thing, and the safety is the prime responsibility of the educators. So first time we have introduced the class via Zoom, and that was a tailraiser of the SONAM. And as I said, the fifth lesson is the count the blessings. So the SONAM was already prepared with the faculty members, and they were already trained, not only with the blended learning thing, but the few of already did the preceptorship model previously in different sort of course. So preceptorship is nothing new for the SONAM. It has been, inculcated in our curriculum since 1990 in senior elective course. But with time, we have introduced it in a different course like leadership and management course. We introduced in the advanced concept of community course. We also introduced this in the palliative nursing course. So these all experiences help us out that are we prepared with the distance sort of preceptorship model. So these are few pictures where the leadership was engaged, and this was the first time our inauguration class. You can see on the back all the students are there. So now the clinical part is there, which is the main component of today's talk. That identification of the local, regional, and international preceptor was a challenge. Clinical placements, that where we can send our clinical placement students, that they can able to complete the care of elderly clinical objectives. Students contract form, and we will ask this from students as well, who will share their own experiences, that how these clinical contract form help them in the learning processes. Then of course the capacity, every preceptor don't have the capacity to handle the students on the floor. So that was again a big challenge for our faculty members to train the preceptors, and we always call a preceptor workshop for our preceptors. So at least we do have an idea about that they are the basic principles of teaching, clinical teaching, feedback. They are having an idea so they can able to help the student in the learning process. So again, 216 students were able to take the clinical, because as I said, the rest of the students were engaged in non-clinical course as well. So 216 course students were responsibility for arranging the preceptors. And of course, this is a student anxieties and as well as the faculty anxieties that how we will complete the 1 credit course, which is around, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it is 51 hours of the course, because in our SONAM, we have a formula of 1 credit hours, clinical is a 3, and it's an 18-week course, so it is around 51 hours. So preceptor capacity, as we said, previous experience, we have a local, national, regional, and international, because in our senior elective courses, student may go to some local places as well. Some internationally, they have done the senior elective course. So we had the previous experiences, few of them. So when we offered the blended learning cohort 2 in 2012, whereby the advanced concept of community nursing was transformed from the traditional to blended learning. At that time, we were also thinking about to moving this clinical pedagogy in the blended learning form, and we prepared our students to not on the whole class, but 21 students we prepared to send them a semi-urban area, that is Hyderabad, because we would like to just see that, you know, how these students work from the blended learning format on the clinicals and how they can approach the community. It is also the beneficial for the community as well. So Hyderabad is a place, is around 3 hours away from Karachi. So these are the beautiful students that are very excited to move with all their bags and everything. And it was a blended form, like, you know, they were there for 2 weeks, then they again were in the campus for the remaining other subjects. Then again, they were for the 2 weeks for the intervention and implementation, then again for a 1 week for the evaluation part. So that's how we have completed their 51 hours of the clinical, and the faculty was only going and coming back, and they have the USB device with them. So every time when they were in the center, community center with their preceptor, we try to have a virtual meeting with the preceptor, and then they go to the community with the preceptor and they plan the interventions. So distance preceptorship model has been introduced very first time in this course, and we have seen the effectiveness, strength, challenges, and advantages and disadvantages of this model. So the finding of this study is saying it's from preceptor, that some preceptor reported that their own knowledge base was increases because it was in Hyderabad and it was very first time opportunity to engage the students from AKU. So they were very excited, and it was one of the AKHSP, our sister organization hub. So they were very excited to have us there. And they said that they have to involve to grade the students as well. And initial workshop which we have taken were beneficial. They felt the ongoing training was required. And sometimes they felt overwhelmed because of the students' theoretical knowledge. And they have said that, you know, it was a relationship between the preceptor also, you know, give the hands-on experience, but reciprocally they have learned from the students as well. This is the student contract which we always give to the preceptor to the students, and it is well aware of each preceptors that what they need to perform in each course. So this is from the senior elective course, but this is a standard contract from each preceptor-based course in SONAM. So now these are the two beautiful students who were the part of our summer program, and they have done the virtual preceptorship model with us, in which one is Amina. Amina is right now, did her placement was a chemotherapy department, AKUH, and Nausheen was from Al Zahra Hospital, UAE, and her preceptor was from Shazia was from UAE. So they will let us know, and I'll ask few questions, and then you as a participant can also ask few questions from students if you would like to, and if time will allow. So Amina and Nausheen, can I have you here on the screen?
Amina, you're on mute. Please unmute yourself. Thank you.
Yeah, Amina, can you hear me?
Amina, we can't hear you. can't
Yes,
hear
ma'am.
you.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, Nausheen.
Yeah.
So Nausheen, can you hear me? So I can start with Nausheen till Amina will sort out her mic issue. So
Yes,
Nausheen,
ma'am.
thank you for joining us here. So as you did your senior elective, your care of elderly course from UAE, and when we offered this course, do you think the criteria of the preceptor which we have developed was helpful enough you to find out the preceptor for yourself?
Yes, ma'am. It was helpful. In fact, it allowed me to brush my leadership skills, and plus, it allowed preceptor in-depth observation for the work and the objectives which were provided by the teachers and the courses. So it was really very helpful.
So can you please tell us about the criteria which we have given to us, and then what was in your mind while you are looking for your preceptor by yourself in UAE and your faculty was far away from the placement where you're working for your 51 hours?
Okay, ma'am, it was a minimum registered nurse with a minimum BSc degree and 3 years of experience in the related field. And non-nursing has to be of master's degree and 3 years of experience in the related field. In my mind, it was there that somebody who can look after me when I was doing clinicals, and somebody who can really help me to achieve those objectives, not only to achieve those objectives, but it can also help with my profession as the thing was that we were there in our workplace setting. So that was actually the ideal setting to learn and to grow in the same environment. So that's somebody who can help me to grow in the same environment where I am working and where I can learn more and grow more there itself.
That's really an interesting point for me. So Nausheen, the contract which we have given to you to sign by your preceptor, do you think that contract has some meaning, or that was or your preceptor were more responsible towards your learning after signing the contract between two of you?
Miss, actually there were both the ways. Actually, that contract had helped her to guide her to how to go with the flow and how to go about it, how to achieve objectives within the time, and actually what is the requirement. And then secondly, if you see that when there is learning is going on the back end, so many things are there which allows you to grow altogether. One objective contains only one objective, but at the back end there are so many things which are related to it are going on. So for example, I have chosen my RTA patient. For example, I have chose RTA patient. So she did not only help me to achieve those objectives, but she also helped me how to see that patient as a leadership. How you can not only to consider that only one patient, but a group of patients with the same diseases, or if I want to train those novice nurses, how I would be doing regarding that, what you call that specific disease process or that specific objectives. So actually the important thing for me was that I have learned a lot with the leadership criteria.
That's really wonderful to know. So, Nausheen, do you think the faculty was away from you and the preceptor was with you? So that connection, virtually you were able to connect with your faculty. And how did you submit your own evidences of learning to the faculty members?
Ma'am, I have never felt that we are away, because everything was so clear and provided on everyday basis. Not only my preceptor was there, but my teachers and faculty were there always on the emails, on the VLE, so that they can guide us, they can provide us what all information we need to achieve all those objectives, all those criteria which were being provided. So I have actually never felt it was I've always felt like I am there in AKUH doing same my clinicals, because my preceptor was also is also alumni, so she also knows how to go about it, and she was really strict on me, and she knows that she is answerable, and she knows that she is adding something in me, either it's professionally or it's
That's really interesting to know that the alumni was there, and might be the preceptor know about the quality in every aspect. But I wish if some student will not having the alumni, and I can ask from the experiences as well. But we do have the evaluation at the end, but this is also very important point for also the reflection. So I think Amina is not here. So the last question I will again ask from you. Amina, are you there?
Yeah, can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you. Thank you, Amina. Thank you, Nausheen, for sharing the thoughts. Now I will move to Amina. So Amina, do you think the training which we have provided to the preceptor workshop or any modules for the preceptor training were helpful to prepare the preceptor for the entire curriculum, clinical modules and clinical objectives? I think Amina is again hanged. Amina, can you hear us?
Yes. Can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, it's about the preceptorship training. Do you think that was important?
Yeah, it is very important because whenever you get the preceptorship training, you can get the idea to how to teach the student in the clinical area by doing the performance like a role model, or perform like pre-rotation assessment, and provide structure of clinical area via giving the policy and procedures things over there, and also give meaningful work as well, because whenever the students come to you as a preceptee, you need to be like a preceptor needs to be very very prompt and as well as vigilant, that you need to teach the student in a way that they can use that thing in the future to take care of the patient, as well as every, like in their perspective of the life of being a nurse or any other profession as well. So they share their knowledge and expertise and become a coach for them, and give the content for the future, or highlight the context of the future as well. And time to time, by giving the time to time feedback, and by spending lots of time, regardless of their tight schedule, by taking care of the patient, any patient area.
So thank you, Amina. So as you know, the COVID is here now, okay, and the clinical is the sore point of every clinical faculty, where few students are not trying to coming back. They are in their own places. They're stuck in their own areas, and we don't know till how long the situation will be, because we now do have our own final year students with us, and we are very hopeful. So do you have any kind of recommendation in terms of the clinicals which you have done from the preceptorship model? Do you think it could be a good learning point for us, where we can think about offering these sort of clinicals where a student can learn with all the skills and the safety protocols?
Okay. When we were in the COVID era, like we are already having in the COVID era, but initially when the COVID era started, so we pursued to the virtual simulation, virtual teaching. Like we were involved in the TNI course, and they were like at the home, and they were having that difficulty of connectivity, but still they were like there to understand the criteria of that, and we were helping them to understand and the area of the perspective, as well as we taught them, or we were able to give them the virtual simulation of our things, okay, as a preceptor or as a teacher, or according to the preceptorship model, I recommend that via virtually we can teach them, we can help them to understand, and as well as also they can get engaged in their community area, and they can make the preceptor over there, but in a very social distancing thing, as well as we can virtually, the preceptor as well virtually guide them to understand the things while taking care of the clearing the objectives, targeting the objectives over there. So I think the virtual thing is very important, or as well as in the COVID era, because we can't get connected physically with the students or physically with the participants as well.
So thank you, Amina and Nausheen, to be with us, and it was a glad pleasure for us to learn from you. So thank you so much. So with that, I move forward that like having our own students' experiences as an adult learner and as an experiential learner, which they have already at the calls mentioned that already there is a previous learning in which we build with our new frame of learning. So that's how we completed the clinical courses, and then the deficiency of 77.4 students were completed during this time period. So this was a student feedback, and we have also heard the student from their own perspective that how was their experience with this VAD course, and especially for the clinical objectives. So as we have also asked that, during this COVID time, yes, the clinical point is the one which is very much concerned. And as Amina already shared about the simulation and the tele-simulation and virtual simulation, and now we also moving, SONAM also moving from the tele-simulation to computer-based simulation that called virtual reality simulation, and that soon we have piloted with our students to see the readiness and feasibility with our own students, and we will add this next in our curriculum, and that will also innovation from SONAM Pakistan that will enhance the effective and cognitive domains of the student, and of course few of the psychomotor skills in which student can learn from distance. There is a challenge which we can share in some other forum about it, that how this readiness survey has some limitation and some way forward for including into the curriculum low middle income countries. So because this is the first step to include the virtual reality simulation in Pakistan. So here I will acknowledge the SONAM faculty, registrar, mentor, staff, everybody, IT team, and everybody was there, so we can able to and the SONAM Titanic was not synced, and we were to our destination. So thank you so much, and now I'm here for any sort of question and answers. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Zohra, for that wonderful presentation.